Hello my dear friends, this is Prashant Mamani and I welcome all of you in today's special video lecture in which we are going to talk about schooling system. To understand schooling system, particularly public school system, we are going to focus on a case study which is about public schools in Rajasthan. This video lecture is important for your General Studies 2 and General Studies 3. In General Studies 2, if you go through the syllabus, you will find e-governance, transparency, things like that, which are utilized by Rajasthan government for betterment of public schools. And the other thing is, of course, in General Studies 3 we know economic development, and without any special knowledge we know one thing for sure, that without education we cannot think about economic development and prosperity of our country, or it is applicable to any other country or any other society as well. Right, dear friends, so let's move on. Now this is our new service which we have started. If you are not sure about it, or if you are not aware about it, then I would recommend you to go through this brochure that you can see on your screen. If you have any question or anything, feel free to write us on crackmyexams@gmail.com. Let's move on now. Introduction. Now let's understand what is education, right? As per William Butler Yeats, education is not the filling of a bucket, but the lighting of a fire. Such a beautiful definition of education so far. This is the most beautiful lines I have ever read on education. It is not the filling of a bucket. It is not about filling up your bank balances. It is not about getting higher marks. It is about a lightning of fire that happens within one's self. That's what the first or the basic meaning of this line is. Now if we go through National Curriculum Framework 2005, right, it clearly states that no rote learning. That means remembering many things like a parrot is not at all important in today's world. We have smartphones in our hand, we have Google, we are connected with internet, so you don't have to remember too many facts, right? That is not going to help you. There was a time when you go to a marriage party or any other social function, and if you are up to date with GK, general knowledge, right, there is a difference between general knowledge and general studies. But if you are good enough with general knowledge, then you would get all the respect and people would be looking at you with an awe, right? They would be like impressed with you, etc. But you might have observed this as well. Even now, even a person who is not preparing for competitive exam, they would be knowing many things which many a times surprises students of competitive exam. The reason is that everyone is connected with internet, as I said, right? You have so many different applications on general study, on general knowledge. You get notification and things like that. But what is the utility of this sort of information apart from filling the blanks, right? Apart from that, it is of no use. It is just on the surface level. General knowledge is all about being on a surface, but if you go deeper down, then you need general studies. You need an ability to analyze things. The way you connect different subjects with each other is something more valuable in this era of global competition. If you read civil services notification, I'm sure many of you watching this video would be preparing for civil services, right? And we all want to become IAS or IPS or IFS and IRS officers, right? But if you carefully read the notification, you will find these lines written there. The main examination is intended to assess the overall intellectual traits and depth of understanding of candidates rather than merely range of their information and memory. What does these lines tell you, my dear friend? They clearly tells, or they indicate that it is not about how much you are reading, how much information you can store in your mind. No, it is clearly saying that it is asking for the depth of understanding. How you understand any subject, that is the most important thing, and this is the most scientific way of preparing for civil services as well, and this is applicable to school education as well. Moving on, I got one more question for you. Why preparation is so hard for civil services? You know, there are some basic things that every single person would know, right? If he or she is preparing for civil services, that you have to read newspapers, right? You have to watch, you have to keep yourself updated with news. The second thing is you have to read NCERT books, right? These two things are most common, right? I believe everyone knows this, that you have to read newspapers every day, and many a times they use the word religiously. I still cannot figure out what does it mean, read newspapers religiously, read the Hindu newspaper religiously. Read NCERT books, but when it comes to how to read, you won't find that many suggestions. Now, the Hindu newspaper is published for a person who is driving an auto rickshaw in Chennai, and that this newspaper is read by governor of Tamil Nadu as well. So the range of information is for newspaper, the Hindu or the Business Standard or Economic Times or Times of India. They are not publishing this paper only for civil services aspirant, right? It is the UPSC who has designed a platform, right, so they can reach or they can allow a fair participation of each and every student around the country, right? So that is the reason why they have designed this platform, that current affairs, right? It takes 5-6 rupees per day, or you can access to a library and you can read newspaper for free. So basically UPSC as well, or the whole UPSC board, they know very well that India is a poor country. So many aspirants are not able to afford expensive classes. Second thing is, they know it very well that in remote areas of India we still are facing issues of connectivity, the schooling is not that good, etc., etc. So we have to keep a fine balance. And NCERT books, the reason why you are supposed to read NCERT books is because you develop your basic knowledge about different subjects. If you open Indian polity written by M. Lakshmikant, right, but if you have no knowledge about political system or political science, if you don't know basics about political science, then you may read that book 5 or 6 times, right, but it won't give you that shining that it should give you by reading that book 2 or 3 times. So That is the reason why you are asked to read these books. The other thing is how to read. Imagine if you are reading class 6th geography, right? And if you are reading it in the same way, that book is designed for a student or a kid who is in class 6. But now you are a graduate and you are reading the same book. The way you should read, it should be an educated person reading it. The person who has completed his bachelor's is reading that book. So you have to be more creative. When you read something like Tropic of Cancer or Tropic of Capricorn in your NCERT books, it's not that you have to note down Tropic of Cancer. You have to observe or find Tropic of Cancer on a world map. Then you have to look that Tropic of Cancer in your Indian map. Then you have to understand what is the meaning if Tropic of Cancer defines the northern part of the northern boundary of torrid zone, right? Then there are many things you can learn from that thing itself. What would be the clothes people would be wearing in this area? What are the products like air condition, fan, etc. would be in high demand in this area, isn't it? Because that falls in the torrid zone. So this is how you read, and that's how you develop your understanding. But we were talking about why preparation is so hard. The reason is that we are trained to read or to do rote learning, right? Very few of us are lucky enough to be trained and developed in such a fashion that we give more emphasis to understanding things rather than remembering it. And one of the reason is it has to do with our school and tuitions, right? It is a habit for the longest time. It is a habit of 16 years since that we are been trained in this way. So to undo that habit and develop a new one, it becomes difficult for us, and generally we don't know how to break this cage. Moving on, school education. Now India, at the moment we are in such a situation that we have to re-engineer our school education. Today we live in a world that is online, isn't it? We know Reliance Jio is out, so many people are 24/7 on the internet. Of course technology is distracting, but if you know how to use technology, then it is not distracting, it is a boon, it is like an vardhan that works for us. But if technology is using you, then you won't find any time at all for yourself as well. If you are paying attention to each and every single notification that you get on your smartphones and your laptops or other gadgets, right, then God save you, because that is definitely taking away all your attention. Every single notification is distracting you, it is taking you somewhere else, right? So you should work on that thing as well. I'm not saying that get digitally detoxed, like get away from all social networking sites. Generally speaking, students do this thing, that as soon as they start preparing for civil services, they do some sort of sacrifices, right? They give up WhatsApp, they give up watching YouTube, they give up Facebook, etc. But that is not going to define your success. If you are giving up your WhatsApp and everything, and if you think you have done a major thing, then that is nothing at all. Trust me, that is, you haven't done anything. You haven't prepared for it. What you have done is you have just closed down your social networking sites or your application or whatever. But that's not going to help you. The thing is, are you able to create an unwavering focus whilst you are studying? And one more interesting thing is that we are not formally trained, right? We are not formally trained to concentrate in our schools. Everyone tells you, right, to concentrate. But who has ever told you how to concentrate? Of course, we are not discussing that thing at the moment. It is just something that has came out from conversation. But definitely, I would love to provide you a video on how to concentrate. We'll talk about that as well, because I'm not from uh, that sort of person, or I don't fall in that category that will ask you to concentrate without teaching you or informing you, or without showing you how to concentrate. I will show you how to concentrate, how it works, and once you understand that thing, once you apply it, if it works for you, then it's going to be fine. Now again, it depends how much you practice for concentration. If you are practicing for distraction for the 10-12 hours a day, then you are going to be good in being distracted. But in the same way, if you practice concentration, then you are going to get better with concentration as well. So there are many scientific techniques that we can utilize to maximize our efforts. With minimum efforts, we can achieve maximum result. This is the most scientific way through which we can achieve anything that we aspire for. Now this example as well is this lecture is a prime example as well, isn't it? Because when I say today we live in a world that is online, you would be listening this lecture online, right? And you would be sitting anywhere in the world. You could be in a remote village of India. I don't know where you are from, but you could be at different places, and I could be located anywhere in the world, isn't it? It's not necessary that I would be in India. I could be anywhere else as well. So, but with the help of the technology, you can you can get all the things that you require in today's world. Now, if we look at International IB Board's curriculum learner profile, we find what are important things that are required in student: curiosity. I do not remember exact story, but I have read this somewhere that once upon a time there was a person who was doing meditation and sacrifices basically, and suddenly, after a long time, after a long practice of this thing, finally the Lord arrived, and he asked that person, like, what would you like to have, right, as a vardhan? And this person said, God grant me with, or bestow curiosity in me. Curiosity is such a beautiful thing that if you are curious about, the more curious you are, the more doors are open for you. If you are curious about how schooling system works in India, then you won't worry about how much time you are going to spend after this. The whole quality of your learning will change. I'm sure you might have experienced this curiosity many a times, though in small quantity, but you might have experienced this, I'm sure about it. There are many things that makes us curious. But imagine if you can be curious about all the things that you study throughout your day. If you're reading a newspaper, and if you can develop curiosity that what are the things that I'm going to learn today, what are the things that I was not knowing about, but after reading this paper I will learn, I will know. What are the things that geography is going to teach me? What are the things that I'm going to learn from this school education video? Was I knowing this many things before, and what do I know now, and how can I develop my in-depth understanding of this subject, etc. This is curiosity. Your confidence. You know, these are the skills that are lacking in so many students in our today's era, particularly in India. I have seen most of the students are always dependent on someone. They always want someone to guide them, right? They cannot take the responsibility of their own self. They want a tuition classes to guide them each and every single day. Sir, what shall I read? Madam, what shall I not read? Etc. These are the silly questions that students keeps on asking. Imagine if you are full of confidence. What is it itself defines that if you want do's and don'ts regarding reading, that means you do not want to go out of box. You want to stay in that coffin. Before leaving, you are already dead without confidence. Risk taker, team player, right? In today's era, even when you go for interview, one of the main important thing that the interviewing panel will look at is whether you can be a team player or not. You are not going to work with robots. Even if you become a collector or a superintendent of police, right, you would be working with people all the time. And if you are not having team player or this traits of team player, then you are not going to survive. You won't be able to accomplish any jobs because you cannot become part of the team. Even if you are a good person, but if you don't know how to play roles, different roles in a team, then it's going to be very difficult. Communication skills. It's not about being just polite. Many a times you have to be assertive as well. You should know how to say no. You should know how to say yes. You should know how to convince people, how to persuade them to do something. These are all important things. Do you think these skills are being taught in our school, particularly public schools? Even in many private schools, you don't find this sort of things that are formally given to students. And we want to compete with world. We want to become the best in the whole world, right? We want to become a superpower, or we want to become most developed country, biggest economy, etc. But without these things in our citizens, particularly youth, I don't think so we are going to get that much success. Or even if we get success, it's going to take a long time. Rather than something that can be achieved in 10 years or 5 years, it's going to take 50 years for us to reach there. Moving on, things have changed a lot. Now, case of Japan after World War II. Do you know Japan was, after World War II, Japan started manufacturing goods. You would be surprised to hear this thing, that Japan started making low quality, cheap products, right? It was doing mass production. It was focusing on low quality, maximization of products, right? Maximization of production or outcome, you can say. And the quality was cheap, price was cheap, and quality was low. This was Japan's strategy for success. And I'm sure you might have heard this very famous song, Mera Juta Hai Japani. Have you observed the shoe of Raj Kapoor wearing in this one? You can see his toe here. And the reason he's saying Mera Juta Hai Japani, because at that point of time, Japan was considered what we know China today. The Chinese products do not last, right? There is a talk in the town. You might be aware about this thing, that Chinese products are of not that good quality. But even today, the best quality products that we consider, say for example Apple, right, iPhone or Mac Pro, whatever, they all are made in China. But before that, China was following the same strategy. It was producing cheap products, cheap price, cheap quality products, non-durable items. But later on, Japan learned from its mistake. Japan invested heavily in its human resources. Now, Japan is a country that has very limited amount of land, because rest of Japan is covered with mountains, and it is it is not accessible, because of it is difficult to live in that part of the world, because you have so many mountains with volcanoes, and earthquakes are frequent, etc. So it has very limited amount of land over where life is easy, right? And again, Japan does not have that high population. So what Japan designed, or its strategy was to invest heavily in human resources, because it is also lacking natural resources. So whatever it has to be best. So it invested in health, education, and skill development of its citizens. And what was the overall outcome after it invested heavily on these three things? Today we know Japan for its quality, isn't it? Toyota, when you go, you know, there's that Toyota cars are, particularly its engine, right, is of such a quality that you can use it 10, 12, 15 years, but its engine will not give you any hiccups. It will work as smoothly as it was when the car was 1 or 2 year old. The reason is Japan has educated its youth, and it has provided skills to its citizens, and because of that they are able to produce things that are of good quality. They have created their own market around the world. Case of Adidas. You know, Adidas used to have a factory, shoe making factory in Germany. Then, to leverage the benefits of cheap labor and cheap cost of production and maximize profit, it went to China. But now it has closed the factory in China, and it is going back to Germany, where a fully automated plant is going to do all the designs and 3D printing. See the way the world is changing now. Things are going to be produced by robots in future. Everything will be automatic. And I have one more example of online education. 2016 Olympic silver javelin player, or javelin silver medalist, Julius Yego of Kenya. He learned how to throw javelin through YouTube. Can you imagine? He got silver medal in Olympic 2016, and all the tricks and tips and all this preparation was done from YouTube. And I don't think this is, for me, it's not that much of surprise, because on YouTube you can get the best in the world. If you want to do bodybuilding, you will find the best bodybuilders giving you videos. You don't have to pay your local trainer who is just bachelors in all these things. You get a person who has done this thing for 15-20 years, and he is training you. But it depends how you use it. That is the main thing. If you have all the technologies, but if you don't know how to use it, then it is of no use at all. Employability skills. Due to automation, globalization, things like that. When I say globalization, I do not mean that you are buying products from different countries, etc. I mean that you are providing services to countries, to different countries as well. Like you are sitting in India here, but you are working for someone who is living in England. But if you are good enough, that person is going to buy your services, isn't it? And that can be delivered online as well. Reading. Can you read? When I say read, I do not mean like you can read this spelling and you can pronounce it. No. When I say employability skill, I mean, can you comprehend what is written there? And one of the reasons why you are asked comprehension in your CSAT too is, in future, if you join civil services, you will get emails from your superior officer, and you would be passing mails to your subordinate, or you would be getting mails from both the side, right? You could be getting mails from superior, you could be getting mails from your subordinates. You would be part of the whole chain. In that mails, you won't get big letters written. You will get things that are precise, and you should be able to comprehend it. And even if you're not a civil servant, if you go anywhere else as well, writing too long emails are not going to help you. It's going to take too much of your time, and the person who is reading it as well is going to be unhappy if he has to read if he has to read a long essay, right? If you can tell the whole thing, if you can communicate the whole thing in one paragraph, then why you need to write an essay? So if you read anything, can you comprehend it? See, these are two different things. If you can read something, that's totally different thing. But if you can read and if you can comprehend it, then that means you have got a skill in you. Writing, can you write effectively and precisely? Small is the new big in today's world. Everything is getting smaller, isn't it? We have nano computers, for example, smartphones in our pocket, cars, hatchbacks, right? Compact houses. Apart from television screen, which is getting wider and wider, things are getting smaller and smaller. Everything is becoming more and more smaller. And that applies to writing as well, that applies to reading, things like that, etc. Arithmetic, can you do arithmetic? Soft skills, do you have soft skills like communication, behavior, handling pressure, coordinating, technical skills? Are you adaptable? These are the things that are required in today's era, right? And trust me, if you go out for looking for a job in a multinational company, then if you don't have this sort of traits, then even if you have completed your masters from any good university, right, then as well you won't be able to. You may get in, right? The chances are that the first door can be opened because of your academic background or because of your reputed university or college. It can help you open the first door. It may help you open your second door, but you're not going to open the other doors. It's not going to help you to open all the doors. You won't be able to climb the ladder. The reason is, if you are just rotting or if you are just memorizing things, then of course they are going to show its result in future. You will be limited. High scores in certificates are not enough nowadays. So where do we stand? 10 lakh young people join the labor force every month. This is the reality of India. 10 lakh young people. Every single month they join labor force. This is going to go on for 10 years. Many do not make. Most of them are untrainable and unemployable. When I say they do not make, I mean they are not able to find a job for themselves. And most of youth from this 10 lakh figure are untrainable and unemployable. It is not my words, it is coming from, if you read Business Standards and Economic Times, you will find so many articles every week regarding this thing. And that is the reason why we have all these skill programs that are going on at the moment. Now, past policies has focused on teacher qualifications, teacher salaries and class sizes. This were the three things that were in focus, right? In past we used to worry about what would be the minimum qualification of a teacher, how much salary we should pay to him or her, and what should be a class size. But when it continues to be important today as well, but we have to move ahead and focus on governance. And teacher and their training become important part now. It is not about training a person for 6 months, providing that person a certificate that he or she is a qualified teacher. In today's era, we need a continuous training at workplace. Every few months you have to revise whether that person is moving up in the ladder or if that person is falling down. This sort of quality checkup are very much important in today's era, because it is about our future generation. We do not want this sort of scenario in future where we have 10 lakh young people joining the labor force, but most of them are untrainable and unemployable because they lack skill, they lack education, they have certificates but they don't know what, they do not remember anything, they do not understand anything. We don't want that sort of workforce in our future generation. So teacher and the training becomes important now. Now let's go through success story of Rajasthan before we conclude. Rajasthan took 3-step transformation. The first is management capabilities building. What it did, focusing on school integration in each panchayat. For grade 1 to 12, they were named as other schools, and for grade 1 to 8 called Utkrisht schools. With improved infrastructure, full staffing, and a focus on school monitoring by devising information and communication systems for inter-department and department to field alignment. This was, Rajasthan took 3 steps. This is their first step of management capabilities building. And outcomes were higher utilization of resources, better supervision of schools, greater accountability of staff. Then, strengthening governance structures, quarterly state-wise reviews on a state-wise level. Every quarter it took reviews. Then district-wise bi-monthly reviews and monthly meetings at schools. Outcomes, continuous performance monitoring. Third one is continuous feedback. Use of social media for feedback, information technology for fund utilization, peer reviews of teachers, sustained training at all levels. And what were the overall outcome of these 3 steps? Class 10 pass result increased from 58% to 72%. We are talking about public schools. Class 12 arts, government school is performing far ahead than private school. Teacher vacancies, it was 60% earlier, now it is just 25%. 1 lakh teachers are promoted. See friends, when I say promoted, that means their skills are increased as well. It is not a promotion that they get after a few years or after a certain period of time. They are promoted because their skills have improved, or they are transferred via a new and transparent counseling process. Community faith, most important thing, that community faith in public school is up. Increase in government school enrollment. Statewide parent-teacher meeting recorded 70% attendance. This is overall outcome of Rajasthan's steps. Rajasthan government, the steps taken by Rajasthan government for improving its public school. Community contribution started coming in for filling gaps. If any particular school or something was missing, like benches or fans or any other necessary things, then community started providing things, right? Charities, and people started doing social activities. They started giving their money in for development of school. So these things can be customized and applied to different part of our country as well. Rajasthan did it with the help of political will, community support, transparency, communication and measurement. Now central government has also given enough space to states to devise their education programs depending on their local needs. If best practices are applied to other parts of our country, then India too can be where Japan has reached. My dear friends, this lecture was on public schools, right? Education system in India. You can also give a name to this lecture, like education system in India. You find essays on this sort of topic. When it comes to development of our country, you can include that if we don't have enough skills, if we don't train, if we don't invest in education of our youth, then our future generation is not going to be skilled. And the products and services that we design in our country with the help of skilled personnel is totally different from the products and services that are coming out from an unskilled or semi-skilled person, right? And that has a huge impact on our development. You have a case of Japan. Now I will leave it these things for you to decide, right? You have to analyze this lecture, you have to connect many things with it. You have to, if this lecture is providing any hint, or if it is showing any path regarding understanding India and its development, then you have to do it by yourself. You have to think, right? You have to note down some points, and then you have to add some points using your common sense. You don't have to have any expert knowledge about this subject. Just use simple common sense. That's what UPSC requires from you, right? So I'll keep it till here. We have given enough time. Parts of this article, some parts regarding Rajasthan, are taken from Times of India, an article that was published in Times of India. It was authored by Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Sri Vasundhara Raje. So hats off to Vasundhara Raje and her team. They are doing wonderful job, and I hope this thing applies to other parts of our country as well. Do subscribe our channel. If you have subscribed, do turn on that notification. Like our video if you genuinely like it. Share it with your friends and family, and do not forget to pass me your comments. I'll keep it till here, my dear friends. We have given like 42 minutes to this lecture, so I'll see you all soon with another lecture very soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. Take care. Goodbye.